You are tuned in to 88.9 WCVF FM The Voice. My name is Brian, and you are currently listening to Echo Valley, the show where we explore lesser known and more obscure music in a variety of formats. You were just listening to Blue Mare by Pendant from his latest album, Harp. I think pretty nice, if you ask me. So, it is now October, which is my personal favorite month. Fall is officially swooping in, the trees are painted in a beautiful red, and there are tons of horror movies to binge. Because of this is a perfect time of the year to indulge in your creepier interest, I see no better time to start getting to some of my favorite creepier albums. So, to start off, Infinity Frequencies is an anonymous artist who specializes in sample-based vaporwave. If you need a little rundown, vaporwave describes a microgenre that originally involved sampling existing music, slowing it down, and looping it for a more surreal experimental sound. There's a lot more I can say about that genre's history, but in particular, Infinity Frequencies jumped into the game around 2012, and they particularly sample old advertisements from Japanese television. So, the release I have here is Into the Light, originally released in 2015 and published on cassette and vinyl around 2021 through the experimental label Forgot Imprint. Infinity Frequencies always had sort of a very haunting vibe with their work, but this release in particular feels very dark and void of any sort of positive feeling, really. Before we listen, let me just say that this album is a lot more experimental with some of the stuff I've played before on the show. And so there's going to be a lot of looping and repetition. It's gonna sound pretty weird at first, but I think you'll grow to appreciate it. So let's listen.
していることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも、私がこうしていることも。
On the air at 88.9 WCVF. We are the campus and community voice of Fredonia.
Angelica was on her way to the party. She doesn't need to wait for anybody. Knows exactly what she's doing. I watch as she commands the room. Well, the young is alright in the party. I want to run away before it's even started. I look at my feet and I look for the door. Can't find my friends, so I just take a bit more, a bit more. It all comes to an end. We all go again. She brought lasagna to the party. I tried my luck at dancing with everybody. Sometimes life gets hard to deal. I like you, you've got sex appeal, but I don't wanna follow you on the gram. I don't wanna listen to your band. I don't know why I haven't left yet. Don't want none of this. Angelica, she brought a rake onto the party. Angelica obliterated everybody. I look at my hands and I look for the door. Can't help but feel like I've been here before. I don't know what I'm even doing here. I was told that there would be free beer. I don't wanna follow you on the gram. I don't wanna listen to your band. And then it all comes to an end. We all go again.
All right. You were just listening to Angelicia by Wet Leg from their self-titled album. So I am kind of curious on what people were thinking about what I just played. I understand that it's a bit more weird than the stuff that you typically hear on the radio, but really that's what the show is all about. Stuff that is not typically played on the radio, which means you're gonna get some weird stuff. So, Infinity Frequencies is actually pretty well known for the sound that they produce with their releases. It's a lot more, I guess I'd say, liminal. Like, it's very fitting music for something to play when you're in a pretty empty space, I'd say so. Actually, I'm not sure how many people listening have heard of the artist The Caretaker, particularly their album Everywhere at the End of Time. It's actually quite similar to that in terms of sound. I just hope I didn't turn off too many people. So, this album in particular, Into the Light, it's the first album that really comes to mind when I think about music that really just sounds outright haunted. Infinity Frequencies has been producing albums similar to this since 2012, and they're still releasing stuff to this day. Because of their relative popularity, at least in the vaporwave scene, their physical releases can actually sell for a pretty penny. Dad, if you're listening, I buy my stuff at retail price, so don't worry. So, you're probably thinking, how can anyone spend so much on a vinyl record of a release that sounds like this? But you'd be surprised by how dedicated some fans are. This release itself has the vinyl release. Last I checked on Discogs, it was selling for $55, and the cassette release, the very same one that I have, was selling for about $20. And $20 isn't really cheap for a cassette either. So we will be continuing this album right after this.
Did you know more people live in the state of California than the entire country
All right,
of
so
Canada?
my fact is that flamingos can only eat
So,
upside down.
You know how like groups of animals are called different things, right? So I
On
learned
average,
the other
in the
day
United
that a group
States,
of
the most
owls
popular time to eat
are actually- Did you know you can listen to all these wacky facts on Just the Facts? Listen to it first on High Noon Friday.
憧れときめく憧れときめく憧れときめく憧れときめく憧れときめく憧れときめく憧れときめく
Walking like I got shut that I can't follow. I can't follow. Then I get to sit like a dog in the woods, and the question that's pulling me back. I'm wondering if you're suffering like I'm suffering. Coming round, there are all sorts of cracks to be found in the peace that I keep. And I'm ready to stone up and here on my own. It's a past that I'm doomed to repeat. It's a past that I'm doomed to repeat. It's a past that I'm doomed to repeat.
Fredonia students, alumni, and community members are invited to attend the Graduate School Fair on Tuesday, October 25th from 4 to 6 p.m. in the Williams Center to learn more about graduate schools, careers, and the application process. More than 60 institutions will be represented from New York State and beyond, with graduate and professional programs in a variety of industries and disciplines that include business, education, health, medicine, humanities, law, and science. Fredonia's graduate programs will be featured with participating representatives from the Office of Graduate Studies and academic departments. Learn more at www.fredonia.edu/CDO. All right, you were just listening to Doomed to Repeat by King of Foxes from their album Twilight of the Empire. And, well, that's pretty much all I have for today's program. I want the rest of October to be a good time to represent more spookier music like what I just played. And I hope this was a satisfactory gateway. So, to recap, we listened to the album Into the Light by Infinity Frequencies, released in 2015 and published on cassette and vinyl through Forgotten Print. You can find more from Infinity Frequencies on Bandcamp. If you're having trouble finding them, you could try looking up Computer Gaze. Their music is free to download if you wish, so there's no reason to not take a look. With that said, thank you to everyone who tuned in. You can hear more of this right here on WCVF The Voice on Fridays at 2 p.m. If you missed out, then check the Fredonia Radio System's YouTube channel for future uploads of Echo Valley. Until next time, this is Brian, and thanks again for listening.